But let's face it, the world has been asleep. And, China has built an absolute monopoly over the last 30, 40 years. And not only, do they produce more rare earths than anyone, they refine more rare earths. 90% of the world's rare earth processing comes from China. And let's face it, China, is going to run out themselves. That's why they're in Myanmar. And the West needs to start building their own ESG standard rare earth industry. And not only that, but they also need to look at the downstream processing and how they're going to refine them as well. But it is good news. It is good news in the short term coming out of the UK.
All right. So let's take a step back. And, if it comes to pass and the flows out of China resume, among the people that are going to be happy about it are U.S. car makers, right? But rare earths and critical minerals are obviously used in aerospace and defense as well. And talk us through the use cases, because you're sitting in front of this huge poster there. It looks like some sort of attack sub. What is the connection there?
Yeah, rare earths are essential for defence. They're the answer to the West's national security, and that's why the West needs to build a reliable supply chain, ex-China, and it needs to happen fast. In 2011 there was a export restriction to Japan, so it's happened again recently. We can't rely on China supplying us what we need for our national defence. They're literally required in everything, military guidance systems, jets, submarines, and America's got their own restrictions coming in 2027, where they won't allow any Chinese magnets to be used, rare earth magnets to be used in their defence. But there's two types of rare earths. There's light rare earths and heavies. Heavies are what are essential, and they are actually what are rare. Not all rare earths are actually rare, Marty.
Yeah, and your specialization in North Stanmore, the stuff you've got coming out of there would include heavy rare earths like scandium and also hafnium, which I haven't heard of, but, you learn something new every day. So, you're at the upstream end of this, basically at the source, to get the stuff out of the ground. Let's move a little bit further downstream where there's also heavy constriction, which I think you just noted, and that is the processing end. That's where China really dominates. Is enough being done, and what more should be done to try and reduce dependence on China for processing of this stuff? Because, one of the ironies I've found out is that the U.S. actually ends up having to export a lot of its production of rare earths and critical minerals to China to be processed. I mean, that's just weird.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose. So that's what I was saying earlier. We need to get onto more refining. And there is a lot of new technologies coming into place. I've met some good partners in the US. So they're getting there. But, we need to stop talking about it. We need to stop setting policies, and we need to get on with it. There's a lot of policies being made, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of actually action on the ground. What's remarkable about deposits like North Stanmore is Mother Nature's done all the work over millions of years. And, our rare earths are actually just leached from clays like they do in China. So, projects like Victory don't need a lot of capex and can get into production really, really quickly. And government needs to actually make it happen. But Australia, I feel that rare earths are going to become the next major industry in Australia for the next century, similar to iron ore. But these are geopolitically required. There's no answer to move away from specifically heavy rare earths.